before I get into this video, I just want to say this is not for views. I mean, sure, a lot of people might see this. Uh, just assuming. This is just me speaking my opinion, and for what I'm about to say, and for the few things I'm about to ask, I want you guys to think about it for a minute. And for what I'm about to show you or talk about towards the end, it's not for sympathy. It's not me trying to divide us even more. This is just me realizing that it, it it's absolute bullshit. That's the best way I could put it. Regardless if that's actually how the person is, or if that person is drawn to what the media wants you to think. So, first off, COVID-19 and the COVID vaccine. Um, the one thing that I don't get is I could show you. I could show you it, but the part that cracks me up is a couple things. One, you could go on Google, type in Joe Biden pandemic tweet. He is talking about a pandemic on Twitter, late October of 2019. And it cracks me up that the media is absolutely silent about that. You have those few people that are kind of like, what are you talking about? But the rest of the world, rest of the country, or the media is like, and actually, let me pull up the tweet right here. Because, honest to God, it blew my mind. And it cracks me up, it's no longer on Google. It's probably going to be off Google after this video, but I will show you. Right. Let's see. Here it is. Let's see. I don't know if you can. Here, let me bring the screen down a little bit, or the brightness down a little bit. If you need to, pause this. See? Doesn't that blow your mind? And you can actually look this up yourself. Bill Gates on the Todd Talk Show, 2015, I believe it was, or 2016, he was talking about something related to this, related to a pandemic, COVID-19, and that tells me, or that kind of gets me asking, how much did you know about this, and why didn't you do anything about it? And also, and you probably have seen it, talking about how people are advertising how you should, like, they're trying to convince you to take the COVID shot, if not both COVID shots. And then Joe Biden, surprisingly enough, is able to speak perfectly and is convincing us to have the COVID vaccine, both COVID vaccines, by 4th of July, and he'll remove all the COVID restrictions. First off, regardless if everyone has the vaccine or not, we're all going to celebrate Independence Day. Second off, why specifically Independence Day? That's my question. And another thing that came to my mind about the vaccine is that most vaccines, correct me if I'm wrong, but most vaccines take a few years. Even if the coronavirus in general has been around, um, it takes it takes a few years to improve it for a certain coronavirus, and and the fact that it was so successful that after the election, and people were kind of like trying to change the subject of being called out that dead relatives were being names of dead relatives were being used for those in ballots. They're all of a sudden saying that they're going to release um, the vaccine, not approved by the FDA, but a certain special permission. And they claim it's so successful, and the numbers are going down. And then you've got, and then you've got, um, they won't show it to you, but where where my home is, not where I'm stationed right now, but where I have as home. At my hospital, at least three patients have had an allergic reaction to the vaccine. What does that tell you? And not to mention, um, like if it was so successful that it took you under a year to make this vaccine, how come you're not announcing the test subjects that were able to make the test, the physical tests, a success? Because obviously they can't just take a little piece of or molecules of the vaccine and then molecule in the blood cells and then be like, oh, it's a success, and then call it good to release it to the public. You get where I'm going with this? And that's where I'm getting reason to believe that that they didn't really have human test subjects. We as the people are the human test subjects. They didn't give us an opportunity, um, any sort of paperwork to a certain number of people to say that, oh, um, um, we will, if anything goes wrong, um, we'll take care of it. Um, it's just, I know a lot of people are going to be like, why are you bringing this up now? Because it's something that has been that I try not to be like a Republican version of The View, but better. I'm not trying to be like that. Um, I'm not trying to be a Republican version of The View. I'm just speaking my mind. I'm trying to speak my opinion. And and then you put the vaccine aside, or COVID-19 aside, and then FYI, I don't think the vaccine is fake, but I do think it was some sort of hoax, some sort of plan to take control of the people. Especially with now, you have to have some sort of traveling COVID-19 vaccine pass in order to be on a plane. But put the COVID-19 stuff aside. Then you've got people that find Lil Nas X's music video acceptable. Um, what was it called? Um, he was strip dancing, or he was on a strip pole, and um, he was on a strip pole going up to heaven, and then like at a halfway point, he's going down to hell, doing a lap dance on the devil decapitates him, takes his horns, and then he's taken over hell. Let's see. Little Nas X, Montero. Um, People find that acceptable, and then not only to put out as like a song, but to put it as a performance at the Grammy Awards, the WAP song. People consider that empowering. But yet you find two certain characters, or even Looney Tunes in general, offensive. You find Dr. Seuss books offensive. And a couple people that I went to high school with, I'm not going to say their names because I don't want them to be getting heat, because I care about them. I really do. Um, the comments they were saying, like, oh, it's not because, for Dr. Seuss, it's not because of um, racist, because it's racist, even though there was racist content. It was because it wasn't selling. And then someone else was basically saying that, oh, the WAP song is basically saying that I'm not afraid to look and be who I am, look how I do, or be who I am. To me, that sounds like a cover up. I don't get that. Now, and then you got the two Looney Tunes characters. Truthfully, in my opinion, it was because people were using that as a meme to basically say that's how you describe Joe Biden. I mean, he's been caught. Why would you cancel that? For crying out. And truthfully, I wouldn't even say that it was canceled, nor is it offensive. It was just a joke. I don't get it. Then you got, and but I lost my train of thought, but basically what I'm trying to get at is that it's not every single one of us that is looking at this and thinking, dude, this is okay. This is true. And I'm not saying that's everybody. I mean, people like me, people like Angel Johnson, people like Adam Calhoun, people like Ryan Upchurch. Well, Upchurch, um, he he doesn't always have a lot to say whenever it comes to politics or some sort of culture, but people like that, or people like that. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm a little aggravated about this. We can see through the bullshit. This is obviously just, to me, like, all of this is like, this is basically trying to take over and say, oh, we can't joke around, we can't make fun of somebody, even if it's harmless. We can't, um, and yet we have to have, even with the Mr. Potato Head thing, we have to be like, oh, we want to remove all of this, which is either conservative or anyone that has common sense finds this okay, and then is like, and then basically wants to shove down your throat stuff like the WAP song, Lil Nas X's content in music. Um, we want you to accept that, whether if you like it or not. Um, and it's the same way with the COVID restrictions. We're sadly, because of Joe Biden being in office, the numbers have gone down. And and what's funny is that they don't if it's become so successful, like I said before, why are they not showing the people that were the test subjects and made it a success? Because and again, that's because I believe, this is my opinion, but I believe that we as the people were the test subjects, and deciding the culture for you is that itself is is unnecessary. We can be into what we into. Now, we can be into what we like to be into. Now, now there are some things that I will say I do not agree to. I don't find okay. Like, if you're if you're a certain sexual orientation that's other than heterosexual, I don't care. That's your lifestyle. I don't agree with your lifestyle. But as long as you're a good person, that's all that matters to me. And and then you got the incident where people are announcing that um, Derek Chauvin, the chief of police that took down George Floyd, first claiming to have put his knee and his weight on his neck, but then about a year later, the body cam footage gets released, and he wasn't on his neck, he was on his shoulder blade. And the man um, was on meth and something else. I'll have to look back. Now, this is just me talking, and hold on a minute. All right, here we are. George Floyd, unarmed American, restrained with knee for 8 minutes. Fatal levels of, forgive me if I mispronounce this, but fentanyl and meth. Resisted arrest. And sadly, what he is known for saying, and is on many face masks, I can't breathe. No evidence of racial motivation. Now, that part I want to say that it is debatable. I'm not picking sides. But another thing you got to realize too is that, to me, that incident right there, he is, Chauvin is considered in the great words of Adam Calhoun, he is considered a political prisoner. And the part that makes me mad about this is that, yes, this officer has had 18 complaints by the people, and a failed female Democratic presidential candidate let him off. And besides all of that, there was no... I look at this, and you look at the whole story, there was no racial act to it. That's just my opinion. And I could even show... And if you actually look for the body cam footage of that officer, wasn't even on his neck, on his shoulder blade. So, and that's why, and my dad, he even said this to me, that there's a saying that one must one must sacrifice for them all. In other words, even though there is no evidence to say that it was a racial act, now there is evidence to say that, oh, he wasn't even on his neck, he was on his shoulder blade. The whole half the country would be on fire because of the fact that the man would walk. But now he is going through 75 years of time in prison. And sad thing is that neither Chauvin or George Floyd win in all of this. The politicians do. And of course, you also got Nancy Pelosi basically making it sound like George Floyd made a sacrifice. No, it wasn't a sacrifice. The man was under the influence of two different drugs and faced the consequences. And truthfully, looking at all of that, it was an overdosage. So there's nothing else to put there. And the other reason why I'm bringing up this video is because first time ever in my life, I have had to deal with someone being racist towards me, believe it or not. Where I grew up, yeah, I was living in the South before I joined the military. But what's funny is I did have a few Democrats living in my area, but they didn't agree with me. They don't like Trump. Those few people that were Democrats. Heck, there's even people that are very conservative, have worked their butt off their whole life. They do not like Trump. But I have met a few that say they don't support Trump, but they would rather have him in office. And there was two different things that my family was very concerned about whenever it came to supporting what I do, which is Donald J. Trump, and joining the military. My dad was mostly concerned about the military because he didn't want me, if I was coming home on leave, unless I have to, or being transferred to a different base, he didn't want me to go out in public in my uniform and people to call me a baby killer or you piece of shit, this and that. And the MAGA hat, well, obviously, because people want to say, oh, you're a white supremacist, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, only because you support Trump. That's it. They don't know you personally. They don't know how you act. And they want to be that way. But what happened to me earlier today is I was out with Angel Johnson. We decided to sit down at a bus stop that had a bench, and there was four different spots because they had some sort of armrests. And we sat side by side, and two people came to the bus stop because they were waiting on a bus. One was wearing scrubs and a face shield. And the other one was, I can't remember if it was LSU or LA Lakers, but was wearing a gold and purple hoodie. And lady with the gold purple hoodie asked, hey, how are y'all doing? And I said, doing well, and you? And 15 to 20 minutes go by, and the woman in the scrubs hadn't said anything to us the whole time until after that 15 to 20 minutes. She was it seemed like she was trying to have a conversation with us. She was like, "Y'all not wearing masks?" "No, ma'am." "Well, you two must think that the virus is not real." And right before I said anything, um, it went from starting a regular conversation to both me and Angel to like looking at me directly in the eyes and saying, "Let me tell you something. You should be following the COVID restrictions, because I'm 67 years old and I work in the medical field, and my older brother died of COVID." And right before I could even say my condolences, the whole time she didn't say anything to Angel about following the COVID restrictions, but she said to me the whole time. And right before she got done, me and Angel walked away, and that was when the bus showed up. And the funny thing is, and I honestly found it amusing. I didn't get pissed off. I didn't like raise my voice at her, because a 67-year-old woman being like that blows my mind. And the funny thing is, a 67-year-old black woman telling me to follow COVID restrictions. Truthfully, could have been a complete asshole to her and told her, "You don't look like you give a shit about the COVID restrictions yourself, because you're only wearing a face shield." I have seen doctors do the whole 9 yards: face shield, face mask, gloves, washing their hands at least 30 times a day, whole body coverage, and they still have tested, and some of them have still tested positive for COVID. And I'm not trying to tell, I'm not, and like, this is where I was kind of saying I'm not trying to divide our country, but I could tell from that whole thing, all of that coming out of her mouth, it wasn't to get pity out of, it wasn't supposed to be pity because she lost her brother due to COVID. She basically wanted to hear the sound of her own voice and get pity out of me, because, well, I'm white. Now, are there racist people in this world? Yes. But is it so bad that on how CNN, ABC, CBS, MSNBC make it sound like? No. They want to take it to the extreme, because rather if it's COVID, politics, racism, they want to make it sound like that only those that support Trump are white people. Those that support Trump and are white people are racist. And you know what's funny is that it wasn't Angel, when we walked away, Angel wasn't, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like, I'm fine. I honestly found it amusing. In fact, if I was to call her right now on not only that whole situation of today, but of what I've talked about, she would say the exact same thing, if not something very similar to what I'm saying. Now, I'm not gonna tell her what to say. I'm just gonna simply video call her and ask her. Hey, you okay?
Yeah, fine.
You got a few minutes? Um, now, I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and I want your honest opinion. And by the way, you're on YouTube right now, so don't be afraid to ask or answer these questions honestly. But that's all.
Okay. Alright.
Now, first off,
Uh-huh.
the the situation that we had earlier today
Alright.
with that woman. What is your take on it?
I think I think she was being over dramatic. I think she was a bit reckless because she only really came towards you and nobody not really me. All she said to me was, "Oh, young lady, why you not wearing a mask?" But with you, she basically tried to do a pity party, which didn't seem fair.
Okay. Now, um, thank you for your opinion. If you guys caught that, um, I hope you could hear it. Second off, on the. You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're
Okay.
fine. Second off, on
Mm-hmm.
the COVID vaccine,
Alright.
do you feel like we as the people are are being used as the test subjects?
Uh, in a way, I say yes, because if they really actually get tested it would take a couple of years before they actually do. Because if we weren't test subjects, we wouldn't have such bad effects towards the vaccine. So I believe we're test subjects, and I think this whole COVID stuff's gonna probably last a long time before we go back to normal.
Okay. Hold on one second. All right. Now, with everything being where Little Nas X's music video, um, the WAP song, um, and the fact that people are being offended to certain Looney Tune characters um, or just Looney Tunes in general, and finding Dr. Seuss offensive, do you think that's a sign basically saying we want to shove um, this down your throat and forget about what you grew up watching?
I say yes, and there's also a lot of people nowadays just, I don't know, it's just a lot of people just going crazy. So I would say that show one way they want to live life, and I think it's also because parents don't teach kids the word no, and that not everything's going to go your way in the real world.
It,
It's very,
hold on.
oh yeah, sorry. But the real world, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and there's going to be things you do like about it and things you won't like about it. So I think it's just people trying to fit into their perfect little world in real life. The world ain't perfect, and it'll never be perfect.
Never will be.
Right.
I mean,
I think it's
we all have.
good.
Yeah, I mean, we all have different beliefs. We all have different interests. Um, but we, but there's a lot of us that don't shove it down other people's throats.
Right.
Um, now, I believe I did show you, but the incident um, with George Floyd and Derek Chauvin.
Mhm.
Do you, after seeing the body cam footage, seeing how people are still like rooting that this cop is behind bars for 75 years and George Floyd is still considered some sort of saint, do you believe that's okay?
No, no, I disagree with it. I disagree with it 100%.
uh, Now, to be very clear with you guys, that I know this sounds completely one sided, but Angel, as you could see, is a very sweet but tough, rough around the skin black woman. Same age as me. Angel Johnson, everybody. Give her a follow.
Yep, and even took my time out because I was halfway asleep, halfway awake.
I, I apologize about that. I just I just didn't want it to make it sound like that it was only. I just wanted to hear your honest opinion about what happened today and what has happened these past few months.
That's fine.
Oh, and I do have one more question involving COVID.
Okay.
Do you believe that all of this being planned out for COVID 19, the pandemic, the quarantine, that was just a way to control the people, put fear into them, and so on and so forth?
You know, I'd say yes. And I also thought of something earlier today. Speaking about that. You know, with all the quarantine stuff, they never really tell us to go and exercise, eat healthy, eat like fruits and vegetables, and eat the right meats and stuff like that. They say quarantine, stay indoors and all this stuff. Because they know if they tell us, hey, if you eat healthy and stuff like that, you're also less likely, still because the COVID virus really attacks the weak, the people with high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, heart conditions, right?
Yeah.
And if we stay healthy, we don't have to really worry about that. I mean, we probably worry about like our 60s and 70s, but if we're like young as heck, we don't have to worry about it. And that makes me realize they want control because they want population control and they want control mentally over all of us, military or not.
There you have it, folks. Great word from Miss Angel Johnson. Sweet.
That's all the questions you got.
For right now, yeah.
That's all good. Oh, you can continue on with what you're saying.
Alrighty. Well, hey, I apologize for waking you up, and I
I
will.
wasn't really.
Oh,
I wasn't asleep. I was watching you just random trash news. I was being called me, and I was like, okay, cool. It's like that's something interesting.
alrighty. Well, hey, I will see you Friday, okay?
Alright.
Alright.
Night.
Night. If you guys did have trouble hearing that, I will make sure to let her know and ask her those questions again. But do you get where I'm going with this? The media tries to divide us. They try to put us in fear. Uh, and they want us to think that anybody that is a Trump supporter or anyone, it like they want to separate us, rather if it's in political views, rather if it's um, us by color, by religion. We should have nothing to do with each other. Now, I know back in the old days, and actually nowadays for some people, they would basically say that there are three of them, but two that I remember that people should not necessarily talk about in person is religion and politics. But truthfully, we all have different beliefs, but like, I'm a Baptist. I support Trump. Um, and I truly believe that there's only two genders. The point I'm trying to make is is that yes, there are people that are believing what the media says. There are those few people that are racist, sexist, whatever it may be. But but don't let the media decide how you should be with other people. And that woman, that what she said to me was completely uncalled for. And the fact that she went on at me for COVID restrictions. The best way I could put it is that don't let the media decide on on what a person is by their political views, because, like I said, I may be a Trump supporter, but a lot of people that do not support Trump, do not like Trump, hate Trump, they look at me and they realize you're not what the media describes. Yeah, because the media wants to pin us against each other. I mean, if you actually listen to Adam Calhoun's song Racism, he's, yeah, his lyrics kind of talk about the stereotypical logics of whites and blacks, but in the end, he's basically saying the media tries to divide us, but we know who we are, and they're not going to decide that for us. So, that's all my opinions on everything that I've talked about. The COVID-19 vaccines, um, the culture, canceling culture, and then replacing the culture with something that's not appropriate, especially for younger viewers. And if you guys like I said, if you guys had trouble hearing what Angel had to say to all of those questions, leave a comment down below, and I will be happy to do another video. And I hope you guys can realize that the world is crazy, but don't let it take over your mind. Don't let it take over who you are. As long as you're a good person, that's all that matters to me. I'm Austin AU. Have a good one.